Hi, it's me, Sarahlynn, teacher turned professional tutor, and today I want to let you in on a really big secret. We're going to be preparing a GCSE roadmap that covers every single thing that your child needs to do from February to June to successfully accomplish their GCSE goals. But today we're not just talking about exam season. We're going to plan it together. I'm going to be sharing with you everything that your child needs to do in every single month leading up to the start of their exams on May 4th, right through to the end of their exams at the end of June. We're going to look at everything they need to be studying, when they need to be studying, how much they should be revising, and of course, important deadlines. So hit pause, go grab your planner. I don't mind what it looks like. It could be your phone calendar. It could be a scrap of paper. Just go grab something. But Sarahlynn, I'm doing dishes or I'm doing groceries or I'm listening while I'm driving in the car. I don't have the ability to write. That's okay. I see you too, and I'm so grateful that you're here with me on your very busy day. I have a downloadable checklist that you can print out and tick as you go, so you are just as on top of things, even when you're not writing things down inside your notebook with us right now. So there's something for everyone, folks. So if you've hit play on this, I'm guessing you're already freaking out about the upcoming exams, or you're one of those eager beavers who wants to get ahead of the stress. Either way, I see you, and I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm going to be diving into everything we need to do from February straight through to GCSEs. This is the exact guideline that we use in our tutoring company when students join us at the end of January, when they miss the opportunity to do a little bit of less stressful preparation, and we are feeling crunch time. But don't worry, this is a tried and tested method, and I have every confidence it's going to work just as well for your family. And we're going to focus in on the stuff that actually moves the needle. There's this fear, this worry that we need to do it all. And the truth is, your team does not have to do it all at once. There's a very strategic way that we can go about preparing for the GCSEs in these last couple of months. So let's grab those planners and let's dive in. Okay, so February. When I say February, there's a couple things that come to mind initially, right? There's Valentine's Day, there's February half-term, and then, of course, if you are in year 11, you'll have noticed that your teachers are starting to drop in phrases like mock exams. Dun, dun, dun. And it means that you might be feeling a little bit more anxious, or you might be feeling a little bit more avoidant. Let's hone in, let's zoom in on the two things that really matter in February. This is what we're going to write down. Number one, and this is important. If I lost you, come back. Make sure you're listening because this one is super important. Right now, you must organize accommodations for your child's exams before March. So the first thing you are writing down in this week, you are writing down, send an email to the SENCO to discuss alternative accommodations that your child may require for their exam. Now, this is specific to children who have either an EHCP or require SEN support. It's important to note you do not need an EHCP in order to get access to accommodation. You just need to note that you require SEN support. So there's a couple of different things that you can ask for an accommodation. We have many different videos that you can watch, and one specifically coming up in the next couple of weeks that will highlight these for you. But the best thing to do is to get the ball rolling by speaking to your SENCO. A couple of initial things that you can include inside the email or that you can reflect upon whether or not your child might need is for extra time, potentially rest breaks within the actual exam, a separate room, a reader, a scribe, so someone to write. Regardless of what it is, make sure you send that email over to your SENCO and get the ball rolling with conversation. It is absolutely imperative that you do that this week because waiting is only going to limit your child's opportunity to have access to those accommodations. The school needs to potentially speak to the exam board, to the exam center, or we need to talk to the local authority if you're a home ed or out of school student. So we need to make sure that we speak to the right people ASAP. So whether it's your local authority or your SENCO, make sure that conversation goes in ASAP. Thing number 2 that February is all about, it's to find a study system that suits your child. But Sarahlynn, we're in February of year 11. How do they not know how to revise? Yes, this is a very common question that many families have. How did they go through over 11 years of education and not have a personalized revision process? I ask myself the same thing many times, but many students will not actually know the effective ways to revise. They're falling back on things like rereading and highlighting. And as we've noticed in our previous videos that talked about the 3 science-backed ways to ensure studying that sticks, that they can remember, those things do not work. So in February, we are going to be trialing different methods. I would highly suggest looking at the video that talks about the 3 science-backed ways and trialing those 3 methods so that the rest of the months that we have preparing for our exams, your teen can be hyper-focused on using that study method that really works for them. So in your notebook, we have on week 1, study method number 1. And then on week 2, we've got method number 2. And on week 3, we've got method number 3. Now, when I say study method number 1, number 2, number 3, what am I referring to? Well, there's many different highly effective revision methods, specifically ones that focus on active recall. But there's also things around time management, increasing focus, attention, but decreasing the amount of time. And there's things like interleaving. So how do we start blending all of the topics together? There might be something like the Pomodoro method or voice notes, or one of my absolute favorites is blurting, which uses a mixture of videos and mind maps to check to see where your child has any gaps and make sure they can fill them like with a laser focused approach. So they're going to choose that one method and they're going to use it every single day with the topics that they're revising. And if it's awful, not a problem. You scrap it and then next week you try the new one. So ideally by the end of February, they should know, okay, flashcards, I spend so much time making them absolutely gorgeous, but then I forget to go back and look at them. Not the most effective. But explaining stuff out loud in a voice note or to my family at the dinner table, now that actually really helps me consolidate my learning. Perfect. Now you know to get yourself a whiteboard and entertain your family every night at dinner. Okay, so because we're still in February, many students in the UK will have a February half term. February half term this year takes place from the week commencing February 16th. So that 3rd week, that is February half term. Now, using February half term to our advantage is going to be one of those game-changing moments. You know when you're watching sports and there's like that one critical moment where if it didn't happen, the rest really wasn't supposed to go the way it went? That is this week. That's because we're going to do a test run. We are going to do 3 days of 45 minutes per 2 or 3 subjects. So you have 3 days. Let's choose 3 subjects each day. And each of those subjects are broken into 45-minute slots. That's it. And if it still doesn't work, you have time to adjust. But if it does, great. This is the system that we're going to use moving forward. So by the time February half term comes around, we've already had 2 weeks to trial 2 different learning methods. So if week 1's learning method was really good, Great, keep it for week 2, keep it for the half term hyper-focus. If week 1's method wasn't that great, Pomodoro didn't do anything for you, but the second week you tried blurting and it was fantastic, amazing. Keep blurting for the February half-term laser focus run. If you tried Pomodoro and you tried blurting and neither of them work, the third time, use the first day out of your 3 days to trial a new one. Let's say it's voice noting. If after your 3 45-minute sessions with voice noting, you feel like actually you can see what you remember, what you forget, and you feel confident on how and what to revise, that is the one that you're going to continue with. You see how I'm going through all of my different options? This is our super specific approach to test our theories. So by now, even in February, you should already have access to what the potential exam schedule is going to be like for your child. If you don't, I would suggest that you add that to your February to-do list and go and email all of the teachers to find out which exam board they will be writing in so that you can then Google when those exams are. And we're going to put those in our timetable, into our diary. Okay, so that is February. Let's move forward to March. Move my matcha closer to me. Okay, I am a lover of alliteration, so we're going to theme March the Microsystems Month, which means we're going to grab the data that we got back from our trial study revision methods in February, and we're going to put the successful ones into a plan. Now, here's where a lot of our families go wrong. They look at March, they go, oh my gosh, we're in countdown mode, and they do this super detailed, color-coded revision schedule that literally looks like something the Army SEALs, Guard, whatever, would be incredibly proud of. Like, they would beam with pride when they see it. But your teen is not going to have that same reaction. And remember, we're doing everything for them. So let's strip it back down to basics. Your teen doesn't need a perfectly color-coded plan, even if it makes us feel good. What they need is one that they're actually going to use, one that doesn't feel overwhelming. The way that we do that is to break it down into 3 parts. In March, we're looking at the 3-part system, which goes as follows. 1 time block, 2 to 3 subjects, 1 thing checked off and fully accomplished per time block. What do I mean by this? A time block needs to be consistent. It almost needs to be like a meeting with a tutor. It's 5:30 on a Tuesday for 45 minutes every single week without fail. That is essentially what you're putting when you put it into your child's calendar. It is a very specific time block, ideally one that they can use across the 5 days. Now, when we think about time, there's differing amounts of time that are ideal. Most of our families begin with a 45-minute block per subject. Now, the reason why we're looking at 2 to 3 subjects is because an hour and a half to 2 hours and a bit of revision every single night is a lot, but it is manageable if we're able to rotate our subjects between ones that require high intense focus and a little bit more passion-driven or interest-led focus. So we rotate through our subjects. We don't have the same ones every single day. The most important part of the 3-part system is that we're looking for 1 complete check, which means if I've decided that in my first 45 minutes, I'm going to be looking at biology, and I know that I really love blurting, it means that for me to be able to take it off, I'm going to watch a full video or read a full chapter that my school has provided me with on a very specific topic. And after I'm done, I'm going to close my book and I'm going to go through creating a blurt or a mind map of everything that I remember from that video. Then I'm going to check it against the resource that I'd already watched to see what I remembered and what I forgot. with a different color, I'm going to add in all of the bits that I had forgotten. My ability to check that off, because that is a full revision that has been completed through the method of active recall, and I can say, yes, I completed that completely. Then I would move on to my subject 2. If I wasn't able to complete it, that's okay, because our goal is to have at least one full check. So let's say in my second subject, I have 45 minutes again. This one is math, and I said I wanted to look at 10 sample questions from past papers that I already know that I didn't get right. So I have them beside me, and I want to work through them. I'm going to give myself the opportunity to work through them. Then I'm going to check my work against the mark scheme. And again, I'm going to add in with a different pen what I missed inside my answer. So now I have a revised version that I can look at to see what I didn't get right. Now, if I only got 3 out of those 10 questions, that wouldn't be a full check because I meant to do 10, but I got 3 done. It's not a negative, it's still incredibly positive, but we're looking for something completed for us to do that check. The reason why we do this is because it gives us feedback. At the end of our revision blocks, if we go a whole day, a whole week without having anything completed, that's usually because the method, the study method that we're using, is not in line with our preferred revision method, and therefore we're not making progress. So that's why we have that one check system. It helps us to make sure that the revision that we're doing is actually effective. Okay, now that I'm done my spiel on the importance of effective revision, I just want to note something with you. So if you've wandered off a little bit, that's okay, but zoom back into this because it's very important. If you submitted your accommodation request in February, well done. By now, because we're in March, that's when we need to chase it. That's when we need to go back to the school to follow up. What exactly are we working with in terms of accommodations? Make sure you don't miss this, because we've had a student before go to their exam and have someone sitting beside them, but they had no idea what that person was there for. Turns out that person was there to be a reader, but because our student didn't know if they were there to give them emotional support, if they didn't know if they were there to give them guidance to refocus them, they had no idea what that person's role was, and that person can't speak. That student never asked the reader, and therefore there was no point of having that person there. So we need to make sure that we get really clear on if the accommodations were approved and what they look like for your child in practice. So if you haven't already, in March, make sure you put a star and you're going to follow up on accommodations. And honestly, be annoying if you have to. This matters. It really matters, not only for your child's ability to know if they have these extra things that they might need, but also what does it look like in practice? If they get extra time, how do they ask for it? When is it added? If they get rest breaks, is that movement as well, or do they just pause? We need to know what these things look like in practice. So be annoying if you have to. Speaking of annoying, don't you despise it when you forget something that's important? I do, and honestly, I'm a very forgetful person. I say that with a smile because I've just come to accept that my life is full of sticky notes and reminders everywhere. But if I don't have something written down, it goes out my brain incredibly fast. And if you are very similar, then not having something being written down, it can be a game changer. So if you're not able to write this down in real time with us, that's okay. You have a couple of options. Of course, you can come back and re-listen to this podcast, which I'd be so honored for you to do, and we can sit and write down in the journal together. Buddy systems are always positive. Or, of course, you can head down to our show notes where I've created a free printable checklist that has everything that you need to do so you can tick it off as you go. Good friends remind each other of important things, and this is important, so I do not want you to forget it. So head over down to the description notes if you need that printable, and we can make sure that you and your child are on the right path towards GCSE success. Now, we just finished off our March section, but if you look at the school calendar, students here in the UK have the end of March and the beginning of April for their spring half term. We are looking at March 30th until April 10th. Those are the school days, the work days that your child has for their spring half term. So make sure you circle those weeks because they are going to be the most important weeks. 2 weeks off. This is a big chunk of time. Let's dive into how we can make the best use of that time. Now, here's what usually happens. Either parents will turn this into a revision boot camp, or everyone pretends it's just a normal holiday before their exams and shuts all revision down. And if I could be honest and candid here with you, both are not ideal. What we should be doing during this time is strategic revision. So let's break it down. What does it look like? Well, week 1. This is how our students approach it, and it's been working for the last 10 years, so I have no doubt it can work for your family as well. Week 1 is our ramp up. Right, this one is very similar to our February half term. Instead of doing 3 days, we are doing 5. And instead of 45-minute blocks, we are doubling it for a 90-minute block. So we're looking for 2 blocks per 5 days, 90 minutes each. But we're going to keep our system the same. We're looking at rotating through our subjects, and we're looking for one thing accomplished that we can give ourselves a check mark for per day. Doesn't have to be in both sessions, but it needs to be at least 1 check per day. So how do we usually go through this? Well, the way that I like to do it, because we like routine, is to keep the routine very similar, which means we get up around the same time as we would if we had to go to school. Not necessarily the same, but around the same time to keep the system going. We make sure that we have a 90-minute block in the morning. They have a good break, hopefully where they can go outside or move their body and eat. They come back, they have another 90 minutes, and then evenings are completely off. This system seems to have worked with all of our families because it honors the routine maintaining the same. So there's less ebbs and flows with their sleep cycle, with their active focus time, because it stays very similar to what happens in the school day. But they still get plenty of time for rest in the evenings, and we are giving them complete weekends as well. Now, week 2 is a little bit different. Week 2 is our past paper week. So here's how things change a little bit. In this scenario, what we're going to do is we're going to choose 4 subjects, 4 of them, and we're going to spread those 4 subjects across the week. So you can choose to include the weekend or not include the weekend to have more gaps. Choice is yours. But we have 4 subjects. And what we're going to do is complete a full paper under real exam conditions. So timed, quiet room, no notes with you, no computer with you, no phone with you, no help from a parent, just your child and the paper. And the most important part here is you don't just write it, you take a break and then revise it against the mark scheme. It's no good for you just to write the paper and then not know what you got right or wrong. We need to compare it against the mark scheme. And by doing that, your child is actually doing the most active revision. Because when we're looking at what they have versus the benchmark to get full marks and what that gap is, they're learning to remember what those parts were that they didn't originally have. And that is gold. Okay, I'm going to do a little detour for our students who get in those exam scenarios, even within the comfort of their own home, and they still feel like they can't do anything. The pressure of the exam is too much. Well, we have a couple of different videos that I'm going to link up here that you can pause this one and go back there for, or vice versa, because it goes through how to support children who are incredibly anxious, that the anxiety gets so much that it leads to shutdown. It's very common. With a little bit of tweaking and tools, we can help them to navigate this scenario. But if they've completely shut down, it's okay. This is still revision, but we may need to dig into a little bit more about the psychology of why they're shutting down and what that means in terms of their long-term goals. After that 2-week break, your teen should feel incredibly empowered. They have absolutely honed in on the subjects that needed the most critical time. They've got those checks done every day, and now they have a bank of knowledge of the topics or the specific types of questions that they keep missing marks in for those 4 subjects that they wrote past papers in. That's fantastic. So they should be going into April, which is our real reality check month. They should be going into April feeling like they have a really good lay of the land and a very specific view of what they need to zoom in and spend their time on. In April, let's write down in our notes, April is our reality check month. Now, if your child is like most anxious children, if we say April, their brain has already jumped to May 4th when the exams start. April is usually when the wheels start to come off a little bit. And honestly, it's totally normal for us to start feeling the build of anxiety or pressure or excitement or worry or whatever your child is feeling. But there's a couple of things that we need to be mindful of. What they don't need to hear right now is, you're doing fine, you're on track, you'll be great, I believe in you. While they come from a place of love, I know they do, they're actually demeaning where they are right now because they have full reason to have feelings towards these exams. These are big exams, and there's a lot of stake put on these specific moments in their life. So your child has every right to have these feelings. What we need to first do is validate, but also create the bridge to explain why they're having them. So we may say something like, I can see that you're starting to feel a little bit worried and nervous, and it makes total sense. The time is just around the corner for your exams, and you have all of these feelings about that. But the truth that's actually happening is your brain is trying to protect you. And unfortunately, this protection is coming off in a feeling that's uncomfortable. It's making you feel a little bit panicked. But if we can remember one thing, our brain cannot function very well when it's in fear or panic mode, right? That guard dog is barking so loud that it turns off our prefrontal cortex, the reasoning part of the front of the brain that's able to do these things to pass an exam. So what we have to do is we need to calm that guard dog down. If you're looking for ways to specifically do that, then you can head up here because there are so many different resources, again, within that anxiety video that are going to help your child to relax their dysregulated nervous system and feel a little bit more grounded whenever they're around things like exams or anything else that makes them feel a little bit discombobulated. A really practical thing that we can do, though, that I want to share with you is actually add a new section to the board or to the fridge. This is the what I've already done part. This is because anxiety erases memory. And when they're sitting in anxiety come April, worried about what's to come in May, they will have already told themselves that they have not done enough. But we both know that that's not true. They've done years of practice leading up to this, but specifically from February, they've done incredible work. They've identified their study method. They've gone through February and April, which were 2 intensive half terms where they really zoned in on specific subjects. Every day of the week, they've been practicing through different study blocks, and they've maintained a couple of checks each week as well. So we're going to put those on the fridge as a reminder that they have already done the work. Now they need to trust in what they've done. Once that has been completed and everyone's feeling a little bit calmer, let's dig into our April process. So April is very similar to March. We just have higher stakes. This time we're going to look at what happened in March. We're going to check to see, was the time allocated enough for your child to get a check at the end? Did your child feel like they were able to accomplish things in all subjects, or were there specific subjects that just kept feeling like they're not hitting the mark? Those are the topics that we focus on. When it comes to time allocation, were we giving ourselves too much time or not enough time? We can revise those, but the same principle stays the same. We have a very specific allocated time that hopefully stays the same every day of the week. We have a rotating schedule of subjects. Now, in this case, we might actually start bringing in more subjects with less time. It's up to you and your child, but usually they have enough revision material. Now it's just about fine-tuning and tweaking. And importantly, we're going to start hyper-focusing on our past paper questions. We should have already started seeing them through spring half term, but they should become the staple kind of approach to revision if that hasn't already been their method. April is done. It stays the same with revised tweaks. That leads us to May. Now, May is going to look a little bit different because your child's exams are going to start, the GCSE exam schedule starts from May 4th. Therefore, they could have days that they have exams and days that they do not. So it's going to affect things a little bit, but let's zoom in on how it could work for your child. May. How do we approach this new phase? Well, a couple of things. 3 to be precise. First and foremost, sleep. Your child may start to feel like they need to overcompensate and spend more time revising. It is natural for them to feel this, again, because it's their brain trying to protect them to feel that panic. However, it is not the right solution for them to start spending more hours revising and not getting enough sleep. We need to have a hard stop. Your family can make that decision. For most of the families that we work with, it is 9 p.m. We need to have time to decompress before we go to sleep. Otherwise, it's just going to run through your brain while you're sleeping. So a hard stop around 9 p.m. so you can do something before you get into bed, and then you can make sure you have that quality sleep. Remember, quality sleep is key because it helps all of the things in your brain to filter out the garbage and to keep the most important parts. It consolidates. If we don't have sleep, we don't have that consolidation, and it really impacts what you're going to remember. Number 2, this is food, not just energy drinks and not just snacks. We're not looking for Parent of the Year award here. You don't need to go above and beyond by cooking them these homemade elaborate meals, but we do need to identify some specific high protein, high fiber foods that are going to help fuel them and maintain those insulin levels so that we don't have big spikes and drops. We need to make sure that they feel fed and so they keep their focus throughout the day. And number 3, and probably their most important one, their most favorite version, is breaks. They need breaks, even though we are in crunch time and we're in the last couple of weeks before these exams. We need to honor their time to rest, to consolidate, which means without looking at a book, and to recharge, which means let them game, which means let them go out and run and play and see their friends and play guitar and do sport and watch the sunrise. There's so many things. Oh, speaking of sunrise, that sun really shifted behind a cloud. I felt it. They basically need time to regulate their system. And when this happens, you'll notice that there's going to be more shifts in mood. They may have been able to keep it all together until now, or maybe they didn't, but you will notice the highs and lows will become almost daily these next couple of months. And that's normal. There's going to be many tears and many I can't do this moments. And there's not a whole lot that you can do except validate it. I know this is really hard right now and you're doing something so difficult. Honestly, I'm really, really proud of you for showing up. It's okay. What can I help you with? That's it. You don't fix it. You don't try and change them into a better mood. You don't get caught in that grief cycle with them. You be the container. You witness what they're going through. That's it. They just need to feel it. They just need to let those emotions go through them. So May will have some of those exams. We'll have bigger days. You can treat May very similar to how you treated spring half term. So looking at consistent revision blocks, potentially 1, potentially 2 per day. Again, focusing on the most important ones based on where the exams lie within their timetable. And then June is the home stretch. We have 1 exam at a time. And there's really nothing that we're going to change between May and June. In between our exams, we need decompression time. We need reset time. Yes, it's all well and good to say that we need to jump back into revision to prepare for the next one, but actually we need at least a couple of hours to just let go and feel the process of what they went through. Some of our students have been taught the later not now method, which essentially means when they're in an exam and they start to feel the anxiety building, what they say as a mantra in their mind is later not now, later not now. And it doesn't mean that they have to shut off the anxiety or the worry or the fear, frustration, whatever they're feeling. It says later. Right now, we're doing this. We're going to concentrate on this paper for 90 minutes, and then I will deal with the feelings that I have, which means that they're then taught that when they finish their exam and they come out, they go to their safe place, their quiet place, whatever it is, and they spend time then feeling all of those emotions that they said later not now to. We give them the equivalent amount of time, 90 minutes if they need it, and they can sit and ruminate and be frustrated and upset and angry that they didn't get that question and I didn't revise this and I didn't think that was going to be on the exam, and all of those feelings, they need to let them out. So they either vent it, write it, or just sit and cry about it. Whatever they choose to do, let them process it, but keep it the same amount, no longer, to what they wrote in the exam. Because after they let it out, they need to then go move their body so they can get out of their head, into their body, and into the present moment. So we have later, not now. Feel through it. Move your body to ground yourself into the present moment. That helps with the reset. That allows them to grieve the process and then move on so they're ready for the next exam. It's been really helpful for a lot of our families. Okay, and as all of these exams kind of go by, my favorite thing to do is to have them written down visibly for the whole family to see and to tick them off or scribble them out or rip off that part of the paper and burn it. Do whatever you have to do to celebrate, to signify to your family, to your body, to your child, how exciting it is for them to have stepped over that hurdle and got ready for the next one. That is an incredibly powerful moment that we are cementing in their life. It is important to celebrate and acknowledge the journey that they've come on. So circle that last exam day. Make sure that everyone in the family in the know that that date is super important. And at the end of every exam, my advice to you is to not ask them how they think it went. They will eventually come and tell you if they want to, but it doesn't really matter. At this point in the phase, all we want them to know is that we're incredibly proud of them for doing it, whatever that looks like. So when they come home, just give them a little cuddle, and I'm proud of you. There you have it. Everything that your child needs to do from February until their GCSE exams start, all condensed down into a checklist or in your planner. So they are doing the things that actually matter. If you planned with me in your journal, hurrah! I'm so excited for you because writing things down, having them visible, means that we're less likely to forget. So you're doing something incredibly powerful for your family and your child. And I know they're going to be so grateful. If you weren't able to do it with us in real time, that's okay. Like I said, there's so many options. You can come back to this video, watch it on 2x if you need to, and write things down in your journal at the same time. Or of course, you can head down to the show notes below or the description and click on the link to access the free printable checklist. I have everything out there, and it feels really darn good to just tick something off. Now, if I could share with you my next piece of advice, it would be not to gatekeep this information, right? Like, you have all of this information in your notebook, in that checklist, which is fantastic, but everyone in your family needs to see it. Everyone in your family needs to be on board, and your child needs to understand the reasoning behind things. So sit them down, have a little family meeting. We love family meetings. We have many of the Maverick Education families having them on a Friday night, a Friday night dinner, where everybody sits down and they can share things. And this is a really important thing for you to share with the family to make sure that everyone is on board and we all see what's coming up. So that's it. You can go ahead and you can celebrate the fact that you now have a roadmap, a plan for your teen. Oh gosh, I almost forgot. If you think, great, we've got the roadmap, but Sarahlynn, you mentioned revision and study methods, and I don't think my child knows how to do those, and we need to start looking in February at different ones that will suit them. Where do I go? What do I do to make sure that they actually know how to revise? I got you covered. If you head over to this video right here, it will tell you all of the science-backed, evidence-based methods to revise that will help your child achieve and remember everything that they need to remember for their exam. It's super empowering to know that you are doing the right thing leading up to this exam. So don't hesitate. Now that you've got your plan and we know that we're looking for the specific revision method that works for your child, head over to this video to find out what your options are. I'll see you in there.